In today's episode of Food Basics Reinvented, I'm gonna show you how to make incredible butter, garlic and thyme basted grilled tomahawk steak that is absolutely delicious. Stay tuned. First off, let's talk meat. To make an incredibly delicious and super tender tomahawk steak, I have here a beautiful 3.5 pound Angus beef prime ribeye steak. This, in my opinion, is the king of all cuts. It might be expensive, but it has amazing marbling that when rendered, the steak will be very delicious and tender. Before everything, we need to craft a delicious and simple dry rub to season the steak. In a small bowl, add 2 tablespoons of coarse kosher salt, 2 tablespoons of cracked black pepper, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika and mix. And that is the dry rub that will make every bite of this steak super delicious. Now we need to season this precious cut. So heavily sprinkle the dry rub on the steak. Pat with your hand to make the rub stick and fully cover the steak from all sides, including the fat caps. As you might have noticed, I haven't added any oil to the steak before sprinkling the rub as we did with the single ribeye steak before, because this piece has enough fat in the tissues to make the meat very tender without adding any oil. When we sear the steak and the fat renders and combines with the dry rub, both will create a crust that will make the meat incredibly flavorful. And after seasoning the steak, leave it outside the fridge for 30 minutes. During these 30 minutes, the steak will absorb flavors from the seasoning and will get to room temperature. As the steak absorbs the dry rub, let's prepare the butter mix that will be used for basting. Add to the tray that you're gonna use for roasting the steak 225 gram or 2 sticks of unsalted butter. Cut them into cubes and then add 2 sprigs of thyme. Crush 4 cloves of garlic and add to the mix. Finally, add a drizzle extra virgin olive oil to prevent the butter from burning during cooking. This buttery mix will add a ton of flavor to the steak, and the thyme will perfume during cooking to make the steak smells amazing. Now it's time for grilling. Put a cast iron grill pan on high heat. We want the grill pan to be super hot when the steak hits the pan to get a great sear and lock the juices and flavors inside the steak. Searing the steak will take 8 to 10 minutes depending on the temperature of your pan. So as you start searing the steak, fire up your oven on 300°F, and when you finish searing, the oven will be preheated and ready for roasting the steak. Sear the steak for 2 to 2.5 minutes on one side, then change direction and cook for another 2 to 2.5 minutes to create professional looking grill marks. Turn and sear the other side for 2 to 2.5 minutes, then change direction one more time and cook for 2 to 2.5 minutes to give the other side beautiful grill marks too. After you've done searing, put the steak on a mesh rack and place everything on the tray where you have the butter mix. I have a tray that was designed for this purpose, but if you don't have one, just place the steak on a mesh rack and place everything on a standard baking sheet and you should be good to go. The perfect temperature for medium rare is 130 to 135°F, and for medium, you should shoot for 135 to 145°F. But because I have a very specific taste, I will shoot for 135°F accurate, which is the middle temperature between medium rare and medium. Crazy, right? I'm gonna use my meat thermometer to monitor the temperature as the steak cooks. But if you don't have one, just cook the steak for 1 hour on a 300°F preheated oven and the steak will turn out perfect. After 15 minutes, get the steak out of the oven and baste with the melted butter, thyme and garlic mix. And because the steak is hot, it will absorb the basting and will get juicier and more flavorful. Flip the steak and baste the other side as well, then return the steak back in the oven. Repeat the same process every 15 minutes, and after the total duration of 1 hour, get the steak out of the oven and baste one last time. As you can see, the butter has cooked in the oven and fragrance from the thyme has added an incredible smell to the butter mix. So the more you baste the steak with this delicious mix, the more incredible the flavor will be. As you can see, my tomahawk steak just reached 135°F and it's time for me to get it out of the oven and baste it for the last time. After basting, Let the steak rest for 30 minutes. Once rested, the steak will be 10 times more exciting and you will be ready to taste this amazing tomahawk steak you have just cooked. There are unlimited options when it comes to enjoying a perfectly cooked tomahawk steak. I will share with you today one way for enjoying this amazing piece of meat. This is how I like it, but you can always make it your own and enjoy it the way you prefer. First, let's cut this steak to check how it looks from inside. Look at this amazing color. Honestly guys, I am very proud of myself. This meat is very soft, tender slices like butter, and the smell is unbelievable. Now it's time for me to dig in and show you how I eat my tomahawk steak. First, spread some sour cream on a tortilla bread. Add some fresh guacamole, sprinkle some crispy iceberg lettuce, then top with some slices of the tomahawk steak. These sandwiches are easy to make, and because they are simple, you can enjoy full flavor of the beef with a hint of other delicious flavors that will make the tomahawk steak more exciting and fun to eat. Seriously guys, this is so delicious. The steak is perfectly seasoned, so tender and juicy. It is smoky even though we haven't done it on a charcoal grill. The meat is so soft that it melts in my mouth. The flavor of the smoky, butter, garlic, thyme-basted meaty flavor with the sour cream, guacamole, iceberg lettuce, and the tortilla bread isn't something from this world. This tomahawk steak is not just a delicious piece of meat, it's an experience. I hope you like this episode. Please try this recipe and tell me your opinion in the comments below or on Food Basics Reinvented Facebook and Instagram pages. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my new videos. Thank you so much for watching. Bon appétit!